Hi, I'm Mike, PokeTips Mike, and we all like shiny Pokemon. There's something about them, that special color, that little sparkle when you send them out in battle, that just makes them so cool. But finding them isn't exactly easy. In older Pokemon games, you had a 1 in 8,096 chance of encountering one, and in the newer Pokemon games it got slightly better, but you still only have a 1 in 4,092 chance. So you're probably not gonna find one in your next patch of grass. But over the years throughout the Pokemon games, there have been some very effective methods of finding shiny Pokemon that give you way better than just your average odds. I took a look at all the Pokemon games and picked out 3 of my favorite shiny hunting methods that all have insanely good odds, don't really require too much setup, and all let you get a decent variety of Pokemon. If you use these shiny hunting methods, you'll be able to catch so many shiny Pokemon easily, you'll basically be a shiny hunting lord. And speaking of lords, I want to give a huge shout out to Hustle Castle for sponsoring this video. I'm not even exaggerating, I've been playing this game like crazy the last few weeks. Basically, this game takes you back to medieval time and makes you the lord of your own castle. Now your castle starts off pretty small, but through battling evil skeletons, orcs, giants, and more, you can expand your castle, learn some new skills, and build up your empire. One of my favorite parts though is you really never know what you're gonna see in this game. Right now, there's a zombie rat in my kitchen, and there's always so much fun stuff to do. I love raiding other people's castles and getting treasures, so I trained up my team to be super strong. We've got Anthony over here who could do some pretty cool sword flips, Samuel the bowmaster with that flashy armor, Jacob with his mace, you don't want to mess with him, and my favorite Ariana, the mage who uses a skeptical crow wand to shoot spells at her enemies. I've been having a lot of fun building up my castle lately, and if you want to join me, go ahead and download Hustle Castle via my link below, and you'll get a special bonus 250 diamonds and 3,500 gold pieces, which will give you a huge head start in building the best castle ever. Thanks again to Hustle Castle for supporting the channel and sponsoring this video. Alright, so let's jump into things today with method number 1 and one of my favorite methods of all time, chain fishing. So for this, you'll need to be playing Pokemon X, Y, Omega Ruby, or Alpha Sapphire. I think this is a great way to shiny hunt because it's very easy to pull off and the rates are so good. Basically, the way it works is super simple. You go up to any fishing spot, throw your rod in the water, encounter a Pokemon, and run away. Do it again and again until you get a shiny. Now the reason chain fishing is so good is because every time you fish up a Pokemon, your chances of it being shiny goes up. You'll only need to fish up 20 Pokemon to get the highest odds 1 in 100 chance of finding a shiny. These are some of the best odds you'll find in any Pokemon game, and since the method is so simple, it makes it an easy and rewarding shiny hunt. Now you really only need a few things to do this method. Number 1 obviously is your fishing rod, which you could probably tell by the name, you're not going to be throwing your bike in the water or anything crazy like that. And number 2 is a Pokemon with either the Sticky Hold or Suction Cups abilities. Now the reason you'll want a Pokemon with these abilities on your team is because basically it makes it so almost every time you cast your rod in the water, you'll get a bite. And because of that, it makes this method pretty consistent. The only thing you'll have to keep in mind is the Pokemon with Sticky Hold or Suction Cups has to be in the first slot on your party. Although you can let it faint and the ability will still be active, which is kinda creepy if you really think about it. Anyway, for my Suction Cup Pokemon, I like to use Octillery. In Pokemon X and Y, you could catch an Octillery on Route 12 by using your Super Rod. You'll have a 30% chance of encountering one here, which makes it pretty common. And then from there, half the time when you catch it, it'll have the ability Suction Cups. If not, just catch another one. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I like to go to the Battle Resort and just go ahead and fish up Remoraid there with the Super Rod. Catch one of these bad boys here and make sure it has the Hustle ability, level it up once, and then boom, you'll have your own Suction Cups Octillery. Or if you get super lucky, you could just fish up an Octillery here, but there's only a 5% chance, so I would just evolve the Remoraid. Now once you have your rod and your fishing Pokemon, you're basically ready to go and chaining is going to be super simple. As long as you don't do anything that breaks the chain, like moving, reeling in too quickly or too slowly, or getting the message that nothing seems to be biting, you can basically do whatever you want. You can defeat, catch, run away from the wild Pokemon, it doesn't matter, use a different rod, encounter a different Pokemon while you're fishing, use the menu. As long as you're not moving away from that spot and you keep fishing up a Pokemon every time, your chain continues. Now, one final tip, personally I don't do this and I'm just fine, but if you want to be extra consistent, try fishing in more of an enclosed area with something like rocks or any other border blocks surrounding it. This actually makes you even more likely to get a bite, which is pretty helpful if you want to get that extra consistency. There are lots of cool shiny Pokemon you could easily get through this chain fishing method, like Dratini, Sharpedo, Poliwhirl. Basically any Pokemon you'd expect to be able to fish up, you can get shiny pretty easily using chain fishing. I'm so disappointed they didn't bring this back for Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield, but hey, we have it in these games, might as well use it and have some fun with it. Now for method number 2, we're taking it back old school to Pokemon Crystal version. Sorry Gold and Silver, you're still great games though. Now, Gold, Silver, and Crystal were the games that introduced Shinies to the series, so these games went out of their way to show them off, like with that red Gyarados that you meet at the Lake of Rage. And no, that's not the Pokemon I'm going to be talking about here, that would be too easy. And it's also not really a hunt, you just walk up to it and boom, it's shiny. Instead, we're going to be talking about the Crystal exclusive Odd Egg. Now this one is the simplest and probably the easiest shiny hunt of them all. All you need to do in Pokemon Crystal is play the game up to the point where you get to Route 34 and you can go to the daycare center. Now inside of the daycare center, the first time you talk to the old man, he'll ask if you know about Pokemon eggs, and he'll tell you a story about how he was taking care of a Pokemon and him and his wife mysteriously found an egg. Now this egg, called the Odd Egg, is pretty special, because not only can it hatch into one of 7 different Pokemon, Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Tyrogue, Smoochum, Elekid, and Magby, but overall there's a 14% chance that the Pokemon you get coming out of this egg is going to be a shiny. It really doesn't get more simple than that. To shiny hunt this egg, simply save before talking to the daycare man, and then once you get the egg, it's business as usual, go run around with it and hatch it. If it's not a shiny, just reset your game until you get one, it shouldn't take too long. Really, the only downside to this method is the limited selection of Pokemon you could get and the fact that you could only do this once. However, if you do a small glitch, you actually can get more than one odd egg. So step 1, just save in front of the daycare man. Also ignore my hacked gym badges. Then after you do that, go ahead and talk to him and he'll give you the odd egg. Now, instead of hatching it, you're actually going to go ahead and deposit it into your PC box. Then from there, you're going to go and change your PC boxes, and right as it's saying, saving, don't turn off the power, we're going to go ahead and turn off the power. If you do it a moment after the text shows up, when you turn the game back on, you should be able to find the egg in your PC, and then talk to the man and get another egg. The timing with this can be a little tricky, so watch how I do it a few times before you attempt it yourself. If you do it too slowly, well, you won't be able to do it again. With this, you can keep shiny hunting the odd egg as much as you like. Alright, well, exploring Crystal was a lot of fun, but now let's take a look at a more recent Pokemon game. Next, we're going to be talking about Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon and the Ultra Warp Ride system. Now this right here is shiny hunting heaven. Basically, near the end of the storyline in Ultra Sun and Moon, you unlock a little minigame that lets you ride on the back of Solgaleo or Lunala and run through Ultra Space. You collect golden hoops while avoiding blue electric balls, and you try to go as deep in Ultra Space as possible and eventually land in a wormhole and hopefully find a shiny Pokemon. Now what makes this system so insane is the shiny rate here is so high. All the wormholes in here, except the white ones which have Ultra Beasts or any that have legendary Pokemon, have at least a 1% chance of giving you a shiny. So right away, as soon as you start this minigame, if you just go for the first wormhole you see and it has a regular Pokemon in it, the rates are already as high as chain fishing. But the farther in you go and the better the warp hole is, you can increase that shiny rate all the way up to 36%. And no, I'm not joking. You could have a 36% chance of encountering a shiny in here. So with that being said, how do we get this insanely high shiny rate? Well, there's 2 factors, the tier of warp hole and how far into Ultra Space you go. There's 4 different types of warp holes. This right here is the first one, and no matter how deep you go into Ultra Space, it's always going to have a 1% chance of giving you a shiny, which again is insane already. Now this right here is the second tier one. You'll notice it's a little bit more flashy than the first one and has a circular halo around it. This also starts out giving you a 1% shiny rate, however, it gets better. Every 500 light years you go into Ultra Space, it adds another percent. This caps out at 5,000 light years, so you could potentially get a 10% shiny chance from going through this. Now the third type of warp hole looks very similar, except it has 2 halos instead of 1, and at 5,000 light years this one's shiny rate caps out at 19%. And the final type of warp hole is super flashy. It has all the halos and even a little flower pattern too. This one is a lot more rare than the other three, and you can only really start finding it once you get around 2,500 light years in. But there's a good reason for that. Since you have to be pretty deep in to find it already, it starts off with a 20% shiny rate and it goes all the way up to 36% at 5,000 light years. So basically, whenever you see this one, go for it, because it's always going to be better than the other three. However, there is a little catch here. If you didn't already catch the legendaries in Ultra Space, they're going to try to give you the legendaries before these let you encounter regular wild Pokemon. So to use these the shiny hunt, just make sure you catch all the legendaries in Ultra Space, then you'll get the best possible odds. So yeah guys, if you were looking for an easy shiny hunt, definitely give this one a try, because not only is it super different, you're playing a little mini game instead of running into a whole bunch of Pokemon or hatching eggs, but the shiny rate scales so high, it's crazy. I find that the best way of getting good at this mini game and not crashing into any of the blue electricity balls, or just running out of steam and eventually getting sucked into a wormhole, is just by practicing this over and over and over again. But a good tip that I have for you is if you stay in the center, that is taking your finger completely off of the circle pad, you're actually not going to get sucked into a wormhole unless you're like out of energy. This is a good little trick you could use to dodge some of the crazy situations, but do remember you can get hit by the blue electricity ball in the center, so you don't want to just chill in the center the whole time. Now another thing you might not know is if you go to the Ultra Megalopolis, you could change which legendary Pokemon you ride on, Solgaleo or Lunala. It really doesn't matter. I like Solgaleo a bit better because I find it easier to see, but again, choose whichever one makes you happy. Another thing you might not know is initially when you first start this minigame, it makes you use motion controls, which are kind of annoying. But if you go to the Game Freak building in Heya Heya City, they actually give you the option to change your controls for this minigame and use the circle pad. If you could consistently get deep in Ultra Space by using motion controls, I have serious respect for you. Now for my friends who like the soft reset, the shininess is determined the moment that you go in the warp hole, so if your Pokemon isn't shiny the first time you talk to it, it's not going to be shiny on a reset. However, you still can reset and change its IVs and nature, so that's something to note. So let's say you're lucky enough to find the shiny in here and you save before interacting with it, you can reset to change its IVs and nature. Once again, there's a pretty decent variety of Pokemon you can get with this method, so go crazy! If you want a full list, I'll have a link in the description below. And with that, my friends, those are 3 easy shiny hunting methods you could use throughout Pokemon games to get yourself lots and lots of shinies easily. Of course, other games have plenty of great methods too, like Gold and Silver's breeding, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee's just, whole game. But with these 3 methods, you don't really need to set up too much, and you could basically just jump in and get yourself a shiny pretty quickly. I found plenty of shinies just making this video, and I usually don't find shinies that often, so if I could find them, you could find them too. So my friends, thanks so much for watching the video, and I hope it helps you find plenty of shiny Pokemon. And again, make sure you go down in the description and check out Hustle Castle and become the lord of your own castle today. Thanks again to Hustle Castle for supporting the channel and sponsoring this video, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.